Welcome to Pegasus versus the movies. Today we're watching Pink Floyd, The Wall, for the first time ever.
City boy, city boy.
All right, you guys, it's Pink Floyd Day. I just reacted to the full album, The Wall. A musical cinematic masterpiece, right? When we talk about movies for the blind, we're talking about Pink Floyd, The Wall. Anyways, I have not seen the movie. I listened to the album first. I thought that was the most important thing to do, right? I felt like, Pink Floyd is known for the music. You have to listen to the music first. Maybe the movie will give some more context. I don't know. I went many different places. Go watch that reaction. There was a journey. I think I was on the path for the beginning. Then as we get to the middle, I got thrown for a loop. Then when we got to the end, I started to weave everything together. I did look up after I reacted at the Vera song. And he says Vera Lynn. I heard that, and I was like, oh, maybe this is a girlfriend. But apparently she's a historical character, like an opera singer who sang for the troops during the World Wars, which I didn't know, which also coincides with this World War concept that I started coming up with in that reaction. But just check that out in its entirety. I don't know where we're going to go here with The Wall, the visual. I think there's a possibility that explains more of the album, etc. But I think I was on the scent of the album. I felt, I had my own interpretation, but that album was amazing. And, I talk about it there. This is an intro to this movie reaction. Let's just get into this movie and focus on that here. If you guys want to see my music reaction to the reaction is 3 hours and 33 minutes long to The Wall. I mean, I took notes. Anyone who gets to see that, I took notes, all types of stuff. It was a great reaction. However, it did have 27 copyright claims. When it's going to come out on my channel, I have no clue. The people on Patreon are going to see this before anyone sees the actual music reaction, so it just is what it is. But it's a really good reaction, I think, and I took my time, and you guys will get to see that. Anyways, we're watching Pink Floyd, The Wall for the first time. If you're here for it, like, share, comment, subscribe. This video will get edited in a particular fashion for YouTube. The standard movie reaction style. If you watch movie reactions, you know how this will be edited. If you don't like that, you want the unadulterated, unfiltered reaction, you can see that on my Patreon. Link in the description or the first comment. And let's go. I fast-forwarded a little bit, try to find a cool screenshot, so while I was talking, there's something on the screen. But we're going to start this from the beginning. Now, this is the issue I had. I went to rent this. I wanted to stream it from Amazon, pay for it, support the cause, but you can't rent it on Amazon. It's not on YouTube's premium streaming to rent. The only thing I could find is this version on YouTube, and I don't know where to tell you guys to go to support it authentically. Because me personally, I started playing the beginning, and it feels like there's a little bit of a watch. You'll see. But, yeah, support the original. People are coming here for my commentary, right? They're coming here to have the conversation, the breakdown. No one in their right mind is coming to watch Pink Floyd's movie, The Wall, for the first time with me, right? You go do that on your own in the way it's intended in its entirety. But, yeah, this is where we're watching it, so support the original wherever you can find it. I think on maybe Apple TV, but I don't have that, so it is what it is. This is why I tried to rent it. You hear that? It's very light, but I just, if I'm going to get it, and it's, you know what I mean? But mad people sent me this link too. I know people are watching this, but me personally, I'm very particular, so I tried to rent it. It's not going to really affect the reaction, but just hear that little undertone, that little, it's really light. I'm just.
Christmas comes but once, the laughter and the joy. I'll tell you all, my little boy.
Here it is, y'all. Roger Waters, the visionary. Gerald Scarfe. Yeah, Gerald Scarfe, all this crazy art.
When the forward commander, when he asked that his men be withdrawn, the NCO bridgehead of a few hundred ordinary lives
fact that they already, and I don't know if this is all original, but that was original, what we listened to, that it seems like he did different original music for the actual movie is actually pretty wild. Looked like we had a soldier maybe in his tent in the trenches, in wartime at the beginning, which definitely is reflective of the album. Let's just see. Like I said, I've already had my epiphanies and what my interpretations of The Wall, the album. I'm watching this for a little more context, maybe insights or depth, but that's already in stone. There's no recreating that reaction. I can't go back and mince any of my words. So it's kind of interesting to see some of this stuff arise. These shots are really dope. Like when the maid turned off the vacuum or turned it on and then it went into the credits, how there's this really close up on the skin and the watch going up the arm or whatever. That's pretty dope. This is kind of wild. This reminds me of Nobody's Home and I think Empty Spaces. That emptiness in his eyes and him just sitting in there, like, and even the echoes of the room. That's kind of crazy that nobody's home. She's knocking, knock, knock, knock. Nobody's home type of thing. That's kind of wild.
Feel the warmth, feel of confusion. Tell me, is something eluded? Is this not what you expected to?
Already starting to stand up on its own as a great piece of cinema. Just, like I'm invested. I'm like, this is a dope movie. The music adds to it. An epiphany I just had was in this beginning, right? And when I did the album reaction, what was that? In the Flesh? Yeah, In the Flesh with the question mark. I believe those are the lyrics from In the Flesh and the question mark. The thing is, when I was reacting to this in real time for the first time, listening to The Wall, just the album, the point of view of the character, I started to pinpoint as an artist. You know what I'm saying? So as an artist, a performing artist, but also it intertwined with this world, these world wars. And what's interesting to me is I leaned into the world wars because they put like this cadence, like in the chants. It reminded you of, the World War Germany stuff, the chants, like he put little subtle things to represent that very specifically. And even with this imagery we saw at the beginning of this movie, that's in there as well. So I wasn't off with that. And I say that because maybe I was, maybe I wasn't off. I don't know for sure. But after my reaction, I told ChatGPT real quick, I was like, this is what I think of this album. What is that, where am I right and where I was wrong? And it said I was totally wrong with the World War thing. I was like, for real? I was like, I just listened to it for the first time. And then I went over my notes and you start seeing where the reoccurrence of the war stuff, it literally starts during Happy Days in that angry moment where it's like, and I was like, yo, that's like literally the third song on the record, B, So anyway, I could be tripping, but this is dope how it's putting a visual together for me. And, the more I'm watching this so far, we're only a couple minutes in. I'm not too far off the scent of the concept. I was actually right in pocket, I think, with the reaction. Very green and lush.
Mama loves her baby, and the sea may look warm to you, babe. The sky may look blue. You should go skating, dragging behind you. This thing dies.
So as of now, maybe the music's not going to align with the album exactly. I'm not sure. But so these are all notes for anyone, because you're probably watching this on Patreon first. You're like, what is he doing? He's cheating. No, I just reacted to The Wall, the full album. And when I reacted to Dark Side of the Moon, I took notes and wrote down my thoughts. It made it a better reaction for me. And that's what I did here. And in these notes, that's Thin Ice, the song Thin Ice. And I remember because I wrote down Baby Blue and, the ice cracking representing the fear. But within that song, I remember it saying something about Dad left. Dad flew over the ocean or something like that. And also there's a moment in there where they talk about the brick, and this is early in the album. And so when I first reacted to Brick in the Wall Part 2. And my whole thing, I thought a brick in the wall was just, a cog in the machine. You know, we're stuck in the hamster wheel. We're sheep. We're on the assembly line, right? That's what I thought the brick in the wall represented. Just, we're all bricks in this wall, like we all same symmetric shape. We're all doing the same thing. I thought that was the concept. But it was really important to me to grasp in the song Thin Ice, when I was doing the reaction, there's a moment where they started explaining. To me, I figured out the brick was a symbol of like a negative experience. At least that's what I believe. A negative experience, maybe trauma, maybe abuse. And essentially that was the pivotal moment. And I was waiting for that to happen here, and I didn't hear that in the music, which means I believe it was taken out, or they're about to play it now. But yeah, so I just wanted to clarify that, which I think that's interesting. I got ahead of myself. That's what I was waiting for. This is the moment. This is the moment right here. I think the visuals got me confused. Now I get like they're tying in the visuals with, it seems like the music precisely, and I forgot because the visuals, I was like, we're going to a new scene, we're going to a new song, but that's not what's happening. Even just a snapshot in the... This is it right here. What you leave behind for me? Just a brick in the wall. The reaction, I had a huge epiphany right there, because he says his daddy left to the ocean, all he left was a memory. And then he screams, what did he leave for me? And I was like, and all in all, it's just a brick in the wall. And I was like, the brick symbolizes a negative experience or trauma or whatever you want to call it. That's what it is. And that changed my whole outlook on this whole right here. Yeah. That, anyways, incredible. The yearning for a father. Not having a father could be extremely traumatic. Kind old King George, when he heard that the father was gone, it was, I recall, they were all left behind, the rest of them dying to my daddy. It's interesting how they put this and weave this together. So that I did not hear on the album, what they just said. And it's kind of an explanation. And what's funny is my interpretation. As I got to the end of the reaction, I think I mentioned, like, you know, it kind of dawned on me when they said his dad flew over the ocean. I was like, did he go into the war? You know? And now the only confusion I have, this is going to be so dope when I release these reactions and get with y'all in the comments, because after I did the reaction, like I said, I asked ChatGPT, and I think ChatGPT is wrong. The more I'm watching this, I'm like, it's, in my opinion, it seemed like it's incorrect with a lot of its assessment. But that's dope. Because I started to make that connection at the end of my reaction of the wall. I was like, or maybe in the middle, I don't know. It was such a journey, and it's so interesting just listening to music, but it's like painting a story, like you're reading a book. Like it's super dope. But that cry, that baby crying, I remember that at the beginning of Thin Ice. So these things kind of shifted where the song Thin Ice played, but then this new song that I'm pretty sure, I don't remember that being on the wall. You know, because that's like explaining like things that was left to interpretation on the album, which I think gives the album more life. When it's vague like that, more people can relate to it, and things can go, and it can have that timeless effect versus, hey, this is why it happened. Then it's like, if this happened to me, I could relate to it, or I can't. So I think that's dope how for a movie they added context, but for the album, it's a little vague. Did you see the frightened ones? The flames are all long gone. Goodbye, blue sky, goodbye. So just to go over this, we had In the Flesh, question mark song. We had Thin Ice, right? But I think we skipped over The Happiest Days and Brick in the Wall 2. And then Mother. So I'm reading my notes. If you guys these are the notes that I took when I reacted to the actual album, The Wall. And we went into Goodbye Blue Sky. So all of those songs were skipped so far to tell the story cinematically through these visuals. And they're adding they're adding other original joints in here to sell the movie line, which is ironic. I caught on to that Falling Bombs and stuff, and because that came after this, it's like they were leaving breadcrumbs throughout the whole album, and it was really fun to try to pick up on different things. I think I forgot to say this at the very beginning, In the Flesh, me knowing what I know from reacting to the full album, The Wall, and how I interpreted The Wall as two different things specifically. Also, the third thing, I just had the epiphany, is The Wall could be a maze, right? Because he said you have to claw through this disguise at the beginning of the album, and in the album you're following this story that's kind of hard to follow, and then you hit a brick wall, then you have to redirect because of this parallel between this character who seemed like an artist or a musician almost, but also these World War references. And there, to me, it seems like you're almost telling two stories at once, but they also intertwine. And I just thought it was unique. Anyways, I'll talk about that more as we watch this. But I had a very unique epiphanies when I just did the album. Putting bullets on the track is crazy. So wild because we're jumping back and forth with the music. We went from In the Flesh, Thin Ice. We skipped Happy Days, Brick in the Wall 2, Mother, went all the way to Goodbye Blue Sky, and now we're back to what looks like Brick in the Wall 2, because this is the video I actually reacted to. But what's interesting is at the beginning, the kids, I think they said this kid's name. It sounded like Blinky, Winky, Pinky. I don't know. It sounded like that. I could have swore that's what they're like, before he put the bullet on the track. So that might be a little nugget as well.
The laddie reckons himself a poet. New car, caviar, 4-star daydream. Absolute rubbish, laddie.
So when I've reacted to this, everyone should know that I've reacted to this portion. It's on YouTube as a music video, just Brick in the Wall 2. So I'm not going to do much talking. But every time I react to it, so my first time reaction, totally blind, right? Then I brought guests on, and every time this part happens, I forget to mention this, and people go crazy in the comments. Those are the lyrics to the song Money from Pink Floyd's album, The Dark Side of the Moon. I don't know why I always forget to. I just figure everyone knows it, so I'm like, y'all knew I reacted to it, but when I bring guests on, they're like, everyone says that in the comments, so I'm saying it here. Yes, those are the lyrics from Money and Dark Side of the Moon.
We don't need no education, no dark sarcasm.
Hey, teacher, leave those kids alone.
Just another brick in the wall.
Is the idiot.
I've reacted to that music video on YouTube a bunch of times, even with guests. What I would like to talk about is the consistency with the album, the movie, and going back to that specific moment, Brick in the Wall 2. At the end of the album, it cycles back to the beginning with the phrase, right? What was it? Did we come in here? I forget exactly, but at the very beginning, I caught that, and at the very end, the end sounded cut off, and I was like, what? And then but it's showing a cycle within the music, right? But the other thing they showed visually that I would have never connected until today after listening to the album, something really simple and subtle, but him sitting at the dinner table with his wife, and his wife is telling him to eat that, and he's just like, okay, he's unhappy there. And then what does he do? He goes and projects that on the kids. You have to eat your meat if you want your pudding. It's a cycle. It's showing her telling him to do something and then him telling the kids. And these cycles also, the cycles flow through the album, right? On the song Mother, we find that the mother's, because of her sheltering him, she ends up projecting all these fears and stuff that ends up becoming another brick in the wall, which originally... I'm like, he builds this wall out of pain to protect himself from pain. but then, it kind of creates this isolation thing going on. But from this movie, I'm also like, yo, it's a maze. The wall is a maze because it's confusing to get through, not just for the person in his perspective building the wall, but for us. So the wall, getting through the album, The Wall, is actually a maze. And they did that, I believe. So this is the epiphany I'm having with watching this movie, because there was parts where I was like, I'm kind of lost. Like there's moments I was lost, and I'd be like, I'd listen to 2 songs and be like, oh, it connects here, here, and here. I'm like, oh, shit. And so right now, in this moment, I'm actually getting goosebumps, because what I'm realizing, in my opinion, these are my interpretations of The Wall. So from listening to the album, The Wall is built brick by brick by negative experiences, trauma, abuse, whatever, to create a barrier out of pain to protect you from pain. But essentially, it kind of makes you crazy because you're isolated. And long story short, it's also this interesting symbol of like the Berlin Wall and the World Wars. There's something cohesively like, because they took down the Berlin Wall, and at the end he's on the outside of the wall of the video. But now this movie is also making me see the wall as a maze, not only for the person who created the wall, where we're having this journey with this person. We're like, damn, why is he building this wall? He built this wall. It's a maze for him. But the album, The Wall, is a maze for us to get through, to figure out. Anyways, all that just, I was just going to talk about the cycles reoccurring, like the assembly line, the kids going into the meat grinder, the lady being like, eat your food, all these different things. And then it just hit me as like, oh, the album, The Wall, is a maze. The album, The Wall, is a maze. And it's amazing at the same time, right? But it's a maze for you to get through. And this character we're following built a wall, a maze. It's kind of wild. Three things for me right now. The wall is, like, it's like this weird parallel to like the Berlin Wall concept and these world wars from the time. And then it's actually this character who I thought was an artist building a wall in his psyche, like a psychological wall. But the wall's also a maze, in my opinion. It's a maze for us, the listener, to get through that. The Wall album is a maze, and it's also a maze of it's the wall the dude built. It's not just like the Great Wall of China. He built it like that, but it's also a maze, and and that's why the end part of the album started to get confusing, because I believe he hit parts of the wall and had to because remember when he said stop, this is actually kind of crazy. This is wow. Here we are, you guys. This is actually kind of crazy. It's kind of whack that I don't think, because this is a movie, there's different rules with the copyright stuff, and I don't think this will be chopped up. I'm going to put out an unadulterated full music reaction of the actual album, The Wall, but I don't know if I can. The full version of this will only be on Patreon, because YouTube, the copyright stuff, content ID is just super aggressive with movies. That's wild. Because this is like, there's like some epiphanies happening in real time right now. That whole maze concept, and then the cycles reoccurring with everything in this album, from childbirth to war. Because the human condition is a cycle, We cycle, we keep, like, we're in a war right now. It's 2026. I'm like, what's different than this movie, bro? You know what I'm saying? It's wild. It's just wild. So,
Mother, do you think they'll drop the bomb? Mother, do you think they'll like the song? Mother, do you think they'll try to break my balls?
This is crazy. They changed the music, because on the album it's an acoustic, because the acoustic in the album, and you could watch my reaction when it comes out, but it symbolizes something very particular. They're used an acoustic in this portion about the mother very specifically for a very specific reason, and I highlight that in my music reaction of this. But here they have like this lullaby sound. They still have the heartbeat, but they have this lullaby sounding thing instead of the acoustic guitar.
Mother should have run for president. Mother should have trusted the government. Mother, am I really dying? Mama's gonna make all of your nightmares come true.
That's the most significant part of Mother song, that when I reacted to that without the album, it just connects so much of the concept. But saying Mama's going to put all of her fears into you, and then going back all the way back to the beginning of Thin Ice, or where they talk about the dad leaving, and it's just another brick in the wall. It's just super important parts. The other thing is, I don't know if I took enough time to highlight that the kids tore down the wall during the Brick in the Wall 2. There's some significance there. It's interesting that happened so early in the movie. I wouldn't have guessed that to happen that early in the movie. It feels like that's supposed to be a climactic thing for an end. But I want to see where they take me on this journey with the visuals of The Wall, the movie.
Mama's gonna keep baby cozy and warm.
All right, I don't want to miss anything. There's just some reoccurring things, and I wanted to write this down. She won't let you fly, but she might let you sing. That's ridiculous. That is such a bar. I just had to write it down. There's no method to the madness. I just wanted to write it down, It's just so ridiculous. Anyways, that's crazy. And I literally just listened to this. Okay. Again, we're highlighting cycles, things that just continue, right? His relationship with his mom, the things he was doing as a child. I think this is the same person, the kid and this grown-up version of it. And we're going back and forth from a timeline of his age and kind of telling the story. But you can kind of see, they do a really good job of showing and highlighting these cycles and how they continue. And it's really incredible because when I think about The Wall, the album, how it ends, it's like I'm outside of the wall, I'm at peace, and then it starts over. You know what I mean? And you're kind of like, is he going to make a different choice? Like, what do you mean? Like, I don't know. It's kind of ill.
Mama's gonna help you.
He's having these concepts of him dying. He said, am I really going to die? And then now where he was laying in bed next to his mom, you see that, it's really, really, really wild.
Mama's gonna keep baby healthy and clean.
Hello? Yes, I collect call for Mrs. Floyd. From Mr. Floyd, will you accept the charge from United States? Is there supposed to be someone else there besides your wife there to answer?
This is some context that was hard to figure out during the reaction. I did figure out that a toxic relationship with a woman was another brick in the wall, right? I understood that. I remember this phone call, but the significance of it now, I couldn't have guessed that, this, and here they're putting all this context, right? Like, now I know for sure this dude's an artist, maybe a rock star at another level, like a real rock star, not just like a local rock guy, in a blues band that does bars, or a local rapper. Like, no, seems like they're portraying him as a rock star. He likes this girl because of his the way he's kind of isolated himself. He pushed the girl away, and the girl went and slept with a fucking activist, a peace activist. That's crazy. I'm not saying peace is wrong. It's just like, dog. To leave a rock star for a freaking social activist is just a wild tout to me, but it's okay. I get it. That's just oh Lord have mercy. Anyways, so she leaves a absolute rock star for a social activist, which actually kind of aligns with things that I've seen in real time in the real world anyway. So it's just kind of funny how they put that in here. But this phone call in the actual album, the significance of this potentially, I have to go back, but it's like he keeps, the wall that keeps getting built, but it's also this pressure, this edge. He gets closer and closer to the ledge. And I'm believing that this phone call signifies that, because of what it shows here. Like, oh, she's left him or she's cheating on him. It didn't really say bold face. It just was vague. It was like you knew he was in a toxic relationship. You did not know why. Did not go in depth. Also, it kind of explains the relationship with his mother and, all these different things that I talk about in depth on the music reaction, but it's fun to actually see this moment because I went back and forth and listened to the phone call. I was like, okay, they keep saying Mr. and Mrs. Floyd, but throughout the whole album, they never said a first name. And so I was just, I'm keeping track of all these things like, okay. There's the wall behind him, symbolic. I feel like that art is very symbolic of love going bad, right? You know, there's some things in that art that would symbolize intercourse. It's more of love going bad because I didn't really see a positive version in there of love. And I think they're demonstrating that because of what just happened between him and Shorty Wop.
Shall we work straight through the night? Shall we get into fights? Leave the lights on, trombones, do toes of thieves. With our backs to the wall.
Yo, this movie's kind of dark. Like, it's kind of dark with the imagery, the sound. That song is not on the Wall, the album. If it is, I don't remember it. You know, he highlighted a lot of things of human nature that are negative, and then he even said treat humans as pets or a person as a pet. But he started going through a catalog of different things we've done throughout history, or just do like naturally maybe that's just not good for us or good in general. It's like emphasizing, oh, I might just buy a car, materialism, a bunch of other things. But anyways, let's watch. Isn't it kind of wild for the small population of black people that would be in this part of the world at the time? They're the ones robbing the store? That's crazy. That's wild. Are those ladies stealing too? Yo, this is crazy. I know there's more than black people stealing. I just thought that's like wild. I don't know the history. I don't know if there's truth to this, right? I was just like, damn, man, did we get typecast in this too? Or is that like, is that just what, you know, I've learned a lot in these last 5-6 years, you know. I'm like, wow, that's kind of unique. But anyways, I just know there's a very small population of black people in the UK and Australia specifically. Like, it's just like such a small amount compared to me being in America, right?
Where are the good times?
Yeah, where are the good times? Oh, right there. Boys in blue. They ain't blue no more. The boys in blue ain't got blue balls no more, man. She went for the home run. All right. This is Young Lust. This was the song that I explained in there. It sounds like cool rock. I'll leave my music reaction to answer that question for you. But yeah, this is cool rock. It looks like he's on tour in the USA, which I might have to go back on the whole statement with the brothers stealing. Because maybe it's in the USA, but that's not what the USA. I've never seen a point where the USA really looked like that, like those ladies. I don't know. Maybe it was the USA at that time. I could be totally off. But this looks like America, from the beer to the champagne to the background aesthetic saying USA with the American flag. So who knows, man? Maybe I got that, biffed it. Maybe it's like, oh, yeah, it's because you're in America, fool. They jacking shit because they in the hood. And I'm like, oh, snap. All right, got it. Why does it seem so cool to be a disattached rock star? Am I tripping? There's something about that image. I don't know. Like, you know how they're like, there's a mysteriousness to certain rock stars, whereas they're just disattached. And even though they could be asshole-ish, there's something where you're like, that's actually kind of cool. That's what he resonates with. I don't know why. I'm just like, yo, this is just like, I don't give a fuck. Like, bro, like, you know, and I know this is like a psychological misstep, but I don't know. There is something kind of cool about being so disattached from everything and everyone.
Can I get you a drink of water?
My name's Barnes.
He comatose.
Love turns gray night after night.
I'm pretty sure this is the song One of My Turns, and I'm guessing Shorty is about to get her turn, maybe? I don't know.
Do you think it's time to stop?
It's wild because I specifically in the music reaction talked about him being on the edge and on the ledge. I actually think I'm going to put the full music reaction on Patreon. I'm going to put it on Patreon probably next week. It's already recorded, but I spilt the beans on a big collaboration I'm doing that I don't want to come out until next week because I fly there this Wednesday. So after I'm back from it and I posted, you know, on YouTube what's going on, then I'll put this, not this, but the full So you have context of what I'm talking about reacting to the movie versus the actual full album.
Don't leave me now. How could you go?
The activist is just banging his chick right now. That's crazy. I didn't think this movie would be this sexual, actually. I didn't think it'd have sexual in it. I mean, you got to think these groupies went in the backstage or damn near having an orgy. Like, that's fucking wild. Anyways, all right. We've listened to Young Lust, One of My Turns, and I believe this is going into Don't Leave Me Now. It's really, really unique how they positioned it for the movie versus the album. Because the album takes you on a whole journey from beginning to end. So does this movie, but they kind of scrambled the order of the songs, and I thought they might keep the order of the songs and be very direct with, the storyline, but to each his own. The wall again. I had these significant moments, but this was a pivotal moment because it's kind of telling the whole story. It's kind of like, hey, to get to this point, we built this wall, and this is how we built the wall. Everything. And with the video, with the movie, it's like doing like a highlight reel, like a time lapse, or however you want to call it, flashbacks. And it's literally showing us everything that led to building the symbol, the wall. The turning point.
Goodbye, all you people. There's nothing you can say. Make me change my mind.
The wall's too high to climb now.
Is there anybody out there?
The product placement in this scene is crazy. They had Juicy Fruit, Baby Ruth, Coca-Cola. They've had Marlboros. They had, in this whole video, they've had Budweiser, I think Miller. It's so, and I don't know if it was purposely done, if they were paid for this product placement, but this was a thing back then. Now it's so obvious, because it's like, every moment of your time, they're trying to put an ad in front of you. It's kind of demonic in a way. But then who am I to complain? Because, that's how I get paid on YouTube, right? They put ads on our videos and they pay us a cut of that. It's really a weird system. A cycle. It's a cycle. Crazy. Anyways. Use my promo code for Manscaped. Never get a cut again. I'm kidding.
When I try to get through telephone to you, there'll be nobody home. When I pick up the phone, there's still nobody home.
Yo, if this is Hey You, I don't know if it is, but this is like if it is, this would be a perfect representation of it. I went on a rant talking about Hey You and going back and forth. And then as we got to the end of the album, I was like, oh, maybe it means that. Hey You just has way more meaning when you listen to it with the full album. Anyways. I was hoping, I don't know where it's going to go. I was hoping the kid was like this reflection of a certain part of himself that was still not gone, and the Hey You, he's tapping him, like, Hey You, and we start going into Hey You. That'd been crazy. This character's mind is disturbing, extremely disturbing. I think this came out in the 80s, this movie.
Vera, what has become of you? Is anybody else in here?
I caught on to this war symbolism, especially with Bring the Boys Home. The Vera's part, I thought we were going into the phone call and this toxic love thing. Now, I don't even know what Vera, because he says Vera Lynn in the song Vera. And Google and ChatGPT told me that it was a singer from back at the time who would sing for the soldiers or something like that. And so I did not know that, which I'm fine with. I think that's just fake, dog. Like, I know people want you to get every single thing, but in my opinion, what makes reactions special and authentic is the fact that you are going into this blind. So for you to get everything first rip, in my opinion, it's typically impossible. So that makes it like, it's like the anti-AI movement, right? Like, AI is going to pick up everything. AI is going to know everything. But you as a human, you have your instincts, your intuitions, and I think that shines. And I think the imperfectness of not really knowing what everything's going on, not fully being researched, makes it special when we're dealing with art. So I didn't know about Vera Lynn. I didn't know the history of her. I still really don't, just the blurb that Google and chat told me.
Hello, hello. Is there anybody in there? Is there anyone home? Come on now. Comfortably numb. Just a little pinprick.
Dog, I know this is going to sound stupid and this might kind of mess up the reaction. I don't know what's going on here. Not that I don't know what's going on here. Just hear me out. One, I can never get tired of the song Comfortably Numb. It's in this like perfect pocket. It's like this perfect pocket of balance, it feels like, right? Because comfortably numb, you're numb to all this stuff, but there's like this weird beauty of like I don't know, man. It's so strange. Every time I hear it, I feel like I'm listening to it for the first time. I think this is the 4th or 5th time, like, because I've done like 2 or 3 reactions to it. Then I did the full album. Now I'm hearing it again, and I'm like, I just can't get tired of the song Comfortably Numb. I don't know what it is, but it's in a really perfect pocket. I'm about to say something. It's not really controversial, but I don't know why this gives me flashbacks and deja vu of the year 2020. It's really scary to me because, and I'm talking about this movie, the music, and its intention. First and foremost, isolation and separating yourself from people and being isolated, 6 feet apart, like all this, stay in your house, stay in your home. Now he says the prick. I'm like, what? And remember when the kid had that fever and he's sleeping? What do you look and see on the ceiling? The mask. Just saying, it just is really weird. It's like this weird, you know how they talk about predictive programming? I think it's all coincidence. But there's moments like that kind of freak me out, those coincidences. Like, tell me I know it's super weird. That's why I was like, yeah, I gave a disclaimer. And maybe I'm still like, trying to break free of my own trauma from 2020, right? But I just think of how there's so much from that moment in time, especially the isolation and being alone and the darkness of that time. But this is kind of weird. Like, I don't know why it hit me like that just now. Like, seeing these visuals, and the other thing was just going back to that kid having the fever, and he looked up, and in the ceiling he saw the mask, and the mask is what the mask all the children were wearing in school. And he runs into his mother's bedroom and lays with her. And I just think, I don't know, these symbols are kind of timeless, right? Taking the mask off, taking the facade off, taking, I don't know, man. These dudes are on one. And for this to come out when it came out, and I'm watching it right now in 2026, like kind of freaked out, is pretty astonishing. It's pretty dope, artistically. At the end of this, I'll tell you what I liked more, the movie or the album. I'm already leaning in a certain direction. I'm just not going to say it. But we'll get to that.
Just a little pinprick.
Just a little pinprick. It could be like the doctor sedating you. It could be you sedating yourself. The spoon and the needle. It could be like I said. It's so weird. Like, we go to 2020 and 2022. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But it's just kind of wild to me, man. Dang, dog. And I'm not here nor there saying it's good, bad, or the ugly. I'm saying I don't know, man. It's just so intriguing to me. It's fascinating.
That'll keep it going. Come on, it's time to go.
I have to say this for my YouTube people. This is very unfortunate. To even go along with some of the concepts I'm talking about, you have to literally hear every lyric of this song. Like, everything he just said, I'm making faces, like, insinuating, like, did you hear what I just said? Hey, shout out to my people on Patreon. I'll do what I can on YouTube, but these movie reactions are, they're just what they are. But I'm the worms. only imagine this movie being extremely controversial for the time, because it's not only dark, it's scary. It's very unique. I wonder how big it was too, because the effort they put into this is extraordinary. Like, I'm like surprised I don't hear this movie come up when we talk about like Thriller. I could be off with that, but I mean, this is put together really well. It's a great story. I mean, there's more creativity here than like 80% of what you see coming out on Netflix that's new. I'm just saying. They're using a really specific imagery that I related to on my music reaction, saying I picked up on this because they use certain chants and cadences in the music that represented, you know, like World War II, World War I vibes and the conflict going on. You know, and so I picked up on that. I said it in the reaction. And like I said, after the reaction, I went to Google and Chat GPT and asked some questions. And they were like totally disregarding like what my whole summary and my interpretation. They're like, no, that's not what it means. It's this, it's that, the other. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm watching this. I heard it with my own ears. And that's when I had to like really disconnect and be like, yo, the future is here, dog. Like, our programming and our artificial intelligence is going to tell us reality is a certain thing. And it's up to us to have the discernment to give pushback. Because I could have just said, oh, I didn't know that. Da-da-da. I still am like, fuck you. This is what I think it was. This was my interpretation. And now I'm watching this movie, and it's validating a lot of everything that I said in my music reaction, which I know you're probably watching this without watching that because this is coming out first on Patreon, but neither here nor there. I picked up on this in the music, right? These symbols, the red, the white, the eagle, like these two hammers. I guess it could be like the hammer and sickle too, but we know what they're alluding to here. And I say that in my music reaction. It just, to me, it started to become obvious, but I was giving a little pushback because sometimes you get worried about being wrong. And I'm like, you can't be wrong in a reaction because it's just what you're interpreting, how it's being processed through you're the messenger at the moment, you know? You're the processor, not ChatGPT, not other people watching, not even the artist. The artist gave you something that was theirs. Once you have it, it's no longer theirs. It's yours, and that's what makes art beautiful. The perception, the interpretation, and what it does to you, right? Here you go. And once it's gone, it's yours now. You know, this is why people love music. Yo, I have the album. I have this. I have these memories. It's not their memories. They gave it to the world as a gift. As artists, we're just lucky enough to package it and make something for it, monetize it. But true art, that's what it does, right? And I'm starting to understand that experience that happens when we do this stuff. Oh. They just did y'all saw what they did? Bro, I am kind of frustrated right now. I'm just frustrated because this sounds stupid, but I literally after my music reaction, I got in an argument with ChatGPT because I'm like, dog, this is what I heard. Why are you telling me what I heard is not what is there? And now I'm watching it being vindicated in the actual movie. They're throwing up the joint. Y'all know what they throwing up, that Yahtzee bullshit, man. That's crazy.
I got some bad news for you, sunshine. Pink isn't well, he's back in the hotel.
All right, so this is what's crazy. I missed something in my music reaction, and I think this is the only moment it happens. I got this. So first and foremost, when you're listening to the music in a really good sound system, you can tell in some of the songs they pushed the music to the front, and it was hard to make out some of the lyrics. I'm bringing this back. He said pink. He said pink. And those kids at the train called him Pinky, not Blinky. I think this is this MFer's name, Pink. And this is where they I talk about this in the reaction, them doing a lineup, right? And start getting, what is the word? Derogatory. Yeah, we'll use that for lack of a better word on the YouTubes. Yo, they literally do a lineup on the wall. This is kind of wild. Which song is this? I believe this is In the Flesh without the question mark.
And they said us along as if we're gonna find out when you got really.
This is like a split personality almost. Like Pink is the rock star guy, right? He's back at the hotel, and this surrogate man is the new pink, I guess. And this is what happens when you're in isolation and go crazy because you built a wall, which still coincides with these World War II and the World War themes is wild. This is crazy.
There's one in the spotlight. He don't look right. I'm him up against the wall. They gotta let all this rick-raff into the room. They fire my way, and I'm all of your shot.
This scene is giving me goosebumps. I caught on to this in the music reaction. I wasn't fully there. Like, I was like, I don't know. Like, I heard him say coon. Like, I try not to say these words because this typically goes on YouTube. And saying raccoon is crazy on YouTube, right? Jewish, even you can say Jewish, obviously, because that's just like, hey, this person is Jewish, you know? They're not using like so they're being derogatory, but they're not using a derogatory term for them, right? But we know that other term is for black people, and it's derogatory. Also, I don't think queer, I think you can say queer. It's not derogatory, but it's still like they're lining them up in a derogatory fashion. Also, the implication of, you know, smoking a J, like being like a hippie type of person. He's calling all of these things out, lining them up. And anyway, seeing the visual of what I thought this was going to be is kind of crazy. I did pick up on this, but I was a little unsure because, like, with this type of subject matter, you don't want to go over the ledge or over the edge, because sometimes I've done that. I've read too far into something where it's like, oh, that wasn't even there. You're reading too far into this. Like my first time reaction to the music video of the Ramones, what is it, Blitzkrieg Bop or whatever. I was trying to figure out if they were trying to put symbols in it and da-da-da, and they weren't at all. It's just a freaking walk song where they're kind of wilding out. Anyways. It was actually really strange watching this specific scene and hearing the music and all of it play out and living in the United States in the year 2026. This is extremely strange. I'm just going to keep it a buck. This is crazy because the masks have reemerged. And also, if you go back in the storyline of the movie, the guy that the girl he liked left him for was an activist of peace. So he's the complete opposite of the character he has become, which I think is somewhat significant and symbolic as well. This is crazy. They're just reenacting skinhead shit on here. This is actually insane. This is insane.
No matter how you try, goodbye, cruel world, walk on by.
This is out of control. The artwork is wild. These are the chants and everything I heard from the album that made me connect it to these World War themes, you know? I'm going to say this in this reaction. As much as I love Dark Side of the Moon, and I feel like artistically these both go in two totally different places, this has to be studied. The Wall needs to be studied. It's not fair for me just to do a first-time reaction. Like, I actually need to study the movie. Like, this graphic of the hammer and a concept of a hammer kind of always, like, you rarely use the hammer as a tool to pull the nail, you know, like the hammer kind of signifies, like, it is kind of pulling the nail too. I don't know, it's just very interesting. The crazy thing how they did the red and black and then the red and black and white, I don't know, this is just, it's super put together. Like, there's so many symbols and ideas and different things being presented here. There's monumental shifts throughout this whole project, but during the stop one, there's so much momentum building, and then the stop. The wall has fallen. It's crazy because it seems like there's two stories being told here, a psychological story within the mind and a story within physical reality. you know? And that's what I was picking up on in the music reaction and in this movie. That's a Molotov cocktail.
The bleeding hearts and the artists make their stand, and when they've given...
Introducing Bob Geldof as Pink. So this character we're watching, his name is Pink. I don't think, I don't know when you're supposed to pick up on that. You know, I didn't until right now. I saw it when he started speaking, but they don't make it clear. Like even in this movie, they don't make it clear. I believe that's deliberate though, so that there's a relatability, and it's more, you can pigeonhole a story by adding times, dates, names, race, etc. By leaving it open, it can have a, I can't think of what I'm trying to explain exactly, but you kind of understand what I'm saying, like the timelessness of it. Like you take away the timeless element of something when you date it, when you put certain things there, because everything that happened in this movie, we could relate to 2020, 2026, you know, this, that. Like, you know, when I was watching at first, I was like, oh, you know, I was kind of getting Vietnam War vibes. So without saying specific things, it travels further. Anyways, the character's name is Pink. And I was curious about that because there was never a moment where they really highlighted it and said, hey, my name is this, or he is this, or, you know, even in the movie, it was like obscure. There's no real moment like Pink was born or hi Pink or anything like that, in my opinion. Maybe I missed something. That's a very big possibility. But if I did, it wasn't obvious because I was paying attention. Normally, I don't go through the credits like this. We fast forward, but since it's music from Pink Floyd, I'm just listening. There's a couple songs I've never heard before in this movie. Do you guys think I liked the movie better or the album? There you guys have it. Pink Floyd, The Wall, the full movie. I just watched it for the first time. I think there's some incredible things here that we can highlight. Let me find a place where we can kind of let it rest. Actually, that's pretty cool. First and foremost, this is a great exhibit and demonstration of how far we can go psychologically in the human mind if we process trauma and pain incorrectly. Right? Take out both stories, negate both stories for a moment. The summary, an example given here is if we use our trauma to create a wall, it's going to be hurtful to us or the outside world. And you can go as far as the extreme and become what seemed to be a racist, fascist dictator, right? But at the core, we still have our human instincts that a lot of times for the majority of people, I think, push us away from those evils. And, you know, he was pushed in that direction because of the trauma and building this wall. And building a wall is the concept of not processing negative experiences in your life properly, not examining them, not, you know, it's just taking it and it's baggage. You're filling up a closet full of baggage. You're putting bricks on a wall. So I love that concept, right? I love it, and it's an extreme example of how far it can take you, but also there is still a moment of realization and reckoning where you're like, I don't want this, right? Now, in the movie, I don't feel like it showed that example. I felt like in the movie, it kind of went, it exploded, and then it ended. It crumbled, right? The wall was taken down, but you didn't see, like in the album, there was a moment of outside the wall that seemed like peace and freedom, right? Inside the wall is all the negative nonsense that you built in this isolation, but outside of the wall, you're peaceful. Birds are chirping. The music is lighthearted, and you felt free. And this movie ended more abruptly. It left with hope because of the kid pouring out the gas or whatever's in a Molotov cocktail, but it still ended with it ended vaguely, and it ended, in my opinion, a little more dark than the album. To answer the question in the room, I loved listening to the album far more than I liked watching the movie. I enjoyed this movie. It's engaging. It's actually an extremely good movie. Thumbs up for this movie. But if I had to make a comparison of listening to the album, trying to figure out the album, and my imagination, absolutely the album is better. It's funner. It leaves more up to interpretation. This is telling you the story and giving you direction. I like that I found my own direction that still was following along this path, but I was able to find it myself and without, you telling me what this is. And I think they did that deliberately, and I love it. But also, after I'm guessing the album had been out a while, they're like, all right, let's answer some of these questions that people might not have had, right? People have been emailing me about this movie, about reacting to the album, and I haven't been able to check any of that stuff because I just want to react first. I don't want people to email me and tell me their interpretation or their ideas. I go into these for my ideas. Again, reactions and art, this is not Pink Floyd's. They might own the music and the albums and stuff, but the way it makes you feel is yours. The way you interpret the music is yours, and that's what makes it special. So they're giving it to me, and I'm telling you what I see or hear, and I think that's important. So I personally had a way funner time journey through the album. The epiphany I got from this movie that essentially this character's name is Pink. But I personally would be like, yo, in the movie, his name is Pink. Maybe they're like, oh, it was Pink in the album too, but it wasn't that obvious. So I just enjoyed the character building, the story, and the epiphany I had today. And this is my epiphany. This is my opinion that The Wall can be a maze as well. And when I say that, specifically the album takes you to these walls, and you have to figure out the next way to go because you're trying to interpret what I thought was one character, but it's also like a character, these parallels to this war, and what you're seeing here, they kind of brought that together for you. But now I kind of want to go back and listen to the album because there's some transformative stuff in there. But again, that's why I love this concept of The Wall, because to me now, the album The Wall is a maze. It's a wall that's like also a maze that you're following, and I love that concept of it being a journey. So anyways, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I actually got to take a piss, so I'm about to get out of here. I really enjoyed this movie. It was good. It was a little bit dark for my taste, but for the creativity, also for the timelessness of the concepts, right? I feel like we're living out some of these concepts in real time the last, 6 years, right? From 2020 to now. It's just like, it doesn't matter what side you're on. It's these concepts keep arising, right? And I think that's interesting because in 2020, Joe Biden is a dictator. In 2026, Donald Trump is a dictator. And I'm like, And now I have my own political views, and this isn't to be divisive at the end, but just seeing this movie and some of the graphics, and I literally just gave you a reference point of the last, 6 years. And I just think it's funny because those two people I mentioned represent both parties. What does that say, right? And the timeless nature of these examples of, broken political systems, broken leadership, and, humans breaking under pressure and, having hate and, in their hearts. And I'm not saying that about either of these people that I mentioned as an example. I'm just saying that, we're complex, and these ideas they live on because of the timeless nature of the concept, the human condition, right? And I really appreciate how they put this together. This is freaking bonkers. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this reaction. For y'all watching it and don't know because you didn't listen, I did react to The Wall, the full album, before reacting to this. It's Pink Floyd Day. I hope you enjoy both reactions. Again, my Patreon members are going to get this way quicker before anyone else. They'll also get the full Wall album reaction, but I'm not making my Patreon for music reactions. It's not for that, but in this instant, I think getting context to this reaction is good as well. So both of them will be on here, but I'll put the movie reaction up first. And then once I do this big collaboration with another big YouTuber that I've never collabed with before, I will post the music reaction, the album reaction, because I spilt the beans in that reaction. So anyways, thank you guys for rocking. Remember, people are here for the insights, the commentary, the candor, the reaction, the breakdown. No one came here to watch this movie for the first time. That's just not a thing because it's supposed to be uninterrupted, you know. I say that because in this day and age with labels and all this stuff, they're coming after reactors, and it's important that everyone, you know, understands the premise here of fair use. It's that because this isn't a substitute for the original. People aren't coming here to watch the original as they're coming to interact with me, the comments, and our community, versus we would just get on YouTube and watch this movie or rent it on Amazon, etc. So just making that differential before I ride off into the sunset. I appreciate you guys so much, and I'll catch you on the next one.
City boy, city boy.
I hope you guys enjoyed my reaction to the full movie, The Wall by Pink Floyd. This is the extended version on my main channel. And the reason I do these extended versions is because a lot of times when I do movie reactions, all my movie reactions go onto my Patreon first or my second channel, Pegasus vs. the World. That's where I put the movie reactions. However, sometimes these reactions, the movie reactions are, you know, inspired by my main channel because they're like musical movies. So it's only right to put it here. But to add extra value to the reaction, I do an extended version where I tell you guys, you know, 5 facts about the movie that I learned after I watched it, right? Because a lot of these reactions I do unresearched because I want a true interpretation after, you know, on my own. Anyways, I reacted to The Wall, the actual movie, after reacting to the full album. The full album reaction should be on this channel in its entirety. It's like 3 hours and 33 minutes long, but I also broke it up into clips where I released the clips for people who just don't have that attention span to watch a 3-hour plus reaction. So all of that stuff is here, but let's get into it. These are 5 facts that I learned about Pink Floyd's movie, The Wall, after watching it. All right, let's get into it. First and foremost, this isn't one that I included, but Bob, I think his name is Geldof, is the lead character. Pink, right? You know, watching it, I didn't know, you know, this character in the movie's name is Pink, but this is kind of the first fact. Bob Geldof, if I'm saying that right, originally hated the idea of doing the movie. He apparently talked trash about Pink Floyd and the script in a taxi, not realizing the driver was Roger Waters' brother, who told Roger. That's crazy. Number 2, now that fact came from a site called Louder. You guys can fact check this stuff. And if it's wrong, let me know and we'll correct it in the first comment. Number 2, the movie almost had live Pink Floyd concert footage in it, but Alan Parker said the Earl's Court footage was basically unusable because the low light lens or the low light lenses made it look terrible. Might have had some live footage in there, but you didn't. Number 3, the kid's poem, The Teacher Mocks, is actually the lyrics to Money from Dark Side of the Moon. Alan Parker called it a joke at Roger Waters' expense. I thought that was just funny. I recognized that in the movie. I recognized it in my reactions when I just reacted to that clip of Brick in the Wall Part 2. However, I thought it was funny, this part where they say Alan Parker called it a joke at Roger Waters' expense. That was kind of interesting to me. All right, number 4, Gerald Scarf's animation was insanely labor-intensive. The team made over 10,000 full-color paintings for about 15 minutes of animation. When I watched the movie, I thought the animation was definitely ahead of its time. It's dark, it's dystopian, but it's new. I don't know if people were doing animation like that, but it just seemed to go into a different realm, and considering the time frame it came out, that's cutting edge stuff, you know. So I thought that was good to highlight. Number 5, I don't know if this is Cannes or Canes. At Cannes, they brought in Pink Floyd's own PA system. 2 truckloads of sound gear were driven to France, and Alan Parker said the old theater shook so hard that the paint flakes fell from the ceiling. Anyways, those are the 5 facts I got about the movie The Wall by Pink Floyd after watching it. I thoroughly enjoyed the full album. I actually liked the full album more than the movie. The movie was awesome, but the full album was incredible. Took me on a journey. Had some new interpretations. Had some that I think would fit, you know, the narrative of the storytelling. But you guys be the judge of that when you check that out. And then as for the movie, I thought it brought more of the music together and the idea of the musical album together with the movie. But I do think the movie holds up on its own and it's something unique. I'm actually surprised more people don't talk about that movie considering how much we talk about Pink Floyd in general. I was like in awe when people were like, yo, they have a movie. That's from the movie. When I started reacting to the clip of Brick in the Wall 2, I did not know that was from the movie until y'all told me in the comments. So anyway, some fun stuff. We're still going down the rabbit hole. You know, Professor of Rock introduced me to a new Pink Floyd song from a different album, but you guys will be exposed to that soon enough. Got a bunch of fun stuff coming on the channel. I hope you guys enjoy all of this. If you do want to catch my movie reactions, they're on Patreon. Feel free to tap in. But other than that, thank you guys for rocking with your boy, and I'll see you guys on the next one.